Good afternoon and hello everyone, and welcome to another Flycast Partners webinar. My name is Rich Longo and I'll be your host. Today's presentation, Could Your IT Unit Use Fog Lights? Presented by none other than Bobby McCullough. Bobby has been in the IT industry for well over 20 years and started with Flycast Partners to help us expand our reach into digital transformation. He has been involved in the implementation of multiple tools for major multinational financial organizations, software engineer for the United States Postal Service, ITIL V3 and Scrum certified with experience in IT service management, IT financial management, IT asset management, and digital transformation. Before we get started, Bobby, let me introduce our organization. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience. Founded and staffed by personnel that have many years of experience in IT space, we took the best ideas from these collective experiences and added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class implementation services and training in the IT service management space, IT asset management, IT operations management, workload automation, and enterprise service management spaces, all using nothing but ITIL best practices. Our professional services can easily scale up or down to meet the IT needs of any customer, regardless of size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to help reinforce your company's long-term IT success. Our ongoing remote administration and support service offerings will enable your organization to focus on those normal day-to-day operations, saving you both precious time and money. I encourage you to reach out to us directly at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or simply visit our website at www.flycastpartners.com. Feel free to chat with any one of our IT specialists live at any time. Download those data sheets and worksheets and anything else that you wanted to know about upcoming tools and additional changes, or even process information that may assist your organization with any upcoming project, or possibly just having the information to share with the rest of your coworkers. Without further delay, I'm going to turn this presentation over to the star of the hour, Bobby McCullough. Now, Bobby, during this presentation, we'll take some questions during this 45-minute time period. So if you want to go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A section of this WebEx, I'll be happy to read those off to Bobby as they come up, and he'll answer as many as he possibly can in this 45-minute time period we have allocated. Bobby, I see your screen. It's nice and bright, and I'm turning it over to you, sir.
Great. Thank you, Rich, very much.
Very good.
Today we're going to talk about fog lights, and could your IT organization use fog lights? So why fog lights? I don't know about you guys, but here in Tennessee, I live in Tennessee. I'm sure you didn't realize that due to the lack of accent that I have.
No, not at all. Nobody would have ever suspected that.
So we have dense fog a lot of times here, Rich, and fog lights are what you need so that you can drive around in that type of environment. It gives you visibility into your surroundings so that you can see what's going on. Now, if you drive too fast, they're nothing more than a way to identify what it was that you just hit. But fog lights also will light you up. They cause visibility of you in your environment. Those around you are able to see you. So really, this is about safety, right? Seeing and being seen in your environment so that you can more efficiently navigate it, so that you can get where you're needing to go safely. And because of the confidence you've got in the sense of safety, because you're able to see and be seen, you can drive just a little bit faster than you would otherwise without those fog lights. So how in the world does this relate to IT? Did I come to the wrong webinar? So guys, stay with me for just a few minutes. I promise I'll bring this around. What's the current state of IT? Think about think about IT at your organization. Now, I know all organizations are different, but there are some ways that most every IT organization is the same. Over time, they tend to collect tools and systems so that the IT environment really becomes this collection of disparate systems and teams. This leads to siloed processes and views of that environment. Now, every unit has got a tool. They've got the tools to help them do their work. Some will love their tool and just couldn't envision work without it. It just can't be done without that tool. Others, though, really would love something better, but they're sort of stuck with the tool that came maybe with your container environment or with the network routers or the virtual machines. It came along with the infrastructure that you purchased. Silos inevitably lead to manual methods, either to get the work done itself or to review the automated work because the integration can't be trusted, and really calling it an integration is sort of overblown because really it's an import using those manual methods. Manual methods lead to inaccurate data. Double entry, swivel chair systems, sneaker networks all lead to errors in costs and time. So really, provisioning ends up becoming a little bit like picking a fantasy league team. You try to understand the stats of each player, how they compare, but in the end, it becomes just a gut decision. You hope you aren't over or under provisioned. If it's your own data center, and it's likely a capital expense, so you'll over-provision that to ensure that the systems stay up and usable. If it's out in the cloud, though, you might under-provision because it's an operating expense that comes in the form of a monthly bill. Neither of these positions really is tenable. So does this sound like you so far? Does this sound like your IT environment? Let's talk a little bit about how you're reactive. Most IT organizations really are reactive. Let's talk a little bit about notifications. How are you notified that a system resource is running out of space? How are you notified that an app maybe can't function anymore because data can't be saved to the database? And then maybe that's because the storage array for that particular system has no space. All of this is reactive. There's a problem. How am I notified that that problem happens? What about an app that seems to be generating a flood of memory alerts? Was that updated? Why are we getting these alerts all of a sudden? CPU may no longer be adequate. Excuse me. How are you going to be notified about that? For any of these, are you notified in advance? Are you notified when issues could exist in your system, or just when there's been an outage or a breach? And then what about the hybrid environment? If you've got things in the cloud, most organizations do. Maybe you've got a little bit in some piece of AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, IBM, some of those clouds. How are you notified? I'm a cloud user. I do my home backup through AWS. I get notification alerts through my email about AWS. I can get notifications through my email about my home NAS, my home storage. But really, I don't have a complete view of all of that so that I can try to, narrow down the root cause of what's going on. It's a home network. I don't really need it. It's not as important for me, but what about you? That's the kind of information that you need. Now here we're talking about, being reactive. Let's talk for a minute, though, about being proactive. How do you plan? Maybe marketing has a new sales campaign that's going to increase, that you believe is going to increase either hits on your website or maybe visits to the brick and mortar. How are you going to plan for that? Have you ever migrated some portion of your environment to the cloud? If you haven't, I'm sure you know someone who has. Do you know anyone who did it without capacity management and did it successfully? Now, these are all big proactive initiatives. Forget about the big stuff. Maybe you're vanilla. How do you budget for next year's resource requirements? What time is involved in gathering all that information together? And how accurate have you been in those forecasts? So if I've made this sound, I was talking to my wife about this, and she said, you really make that sound kind of dire and bleak. And I said, it's really good, because this is a problem that most IT organizations have, but they don't think about until it bites them. And when it bites, it usually does hard, usually in the form of people having to polish up resumes. Flycast can help with this, though. Flycast can help through something called capacity optimization. We can help provide visibility into your entire infrastructure, whether it's a data center, multiple data centers in multiple locations, or the hybrid cloud. It's scattered across different cloud providers, and capture utilization for your entire enterprise so that you truly know what's going on. You're not going to be able to align IT infrastructure to demand or plan for future growth without that kind of visibility. Identify, forecast, and control cost. These are really the three pillars of capacity optimization. It all starts with visibility into the environment, so that visibility can produce accurate forecasts. Accurate forecasts are going to lead to controlled costs. But I want to take some time to go into each of these individually. So capacity optimization, this really covers a lot. It isn't some segment of your environment. It's the entire network, storage, and compute IT resources, whether they're in your data center, servers that some business unit manages that's outside your data center, or it's something out in the cloud, or pieces of the cloud, different clouds. We can help you discover all of those, recognize those resources, so that you can visualize the capacity for this hybrid multi-cloud environment. Seeing that entire environment is going to be critical to understanding how each area of your business utilizes the infrastructure. Sales doesn't use the infrastructure the same way as operations does. Insight into that can be very, very valuable to understanding how they need and how they use those resources. Insight alone can help you reclaim unused resources that you could then redeploy based on today's demand, not last year's calculations. We can help you set up notifications so that you and your customer users can understand demand and utilization. A part of this is also machine learning, so the system can understand what your baseline truly looks like, what normal really is for you, and respond to usage patterns accordingly. So maybe the system expects a spike in utilization on Monday mornings when everybody comes in, and then every day right after lunch. The system can expect that and not over-alert you because of it. The bottom line is we're going to help you align your IT infrastructure to demand, and that's going to help you plan for future growth. So the next step is forecasting. That was visibility or identify. The next step is forecasting. So, once an organization has got visibility into their entire environment, it's possible to forecast how those resources are going to be used. You're going to be able to see impending saturations before they occur. You can create what-if scenarios that let the system crunch the numbers for you so that you don't have to. These are the ways that you're going to understand how a marketing program could impact your IT resources or just plan for next year's resource requirements. It's even possible to provide very, very specific hardware recommendations so that planning for next year isn't just a number. It's got real data behind it and underpinning it, very specific information about recommendations. We mentioned saturation. We're going to talk more about that when I show you a bit of the tool. Detecting and forecasting saturation is critical. Understanding when those impending saturations are going to occur and notifications around that. So forecasting really also lets you understand how you can use your committed resources most effectively. They may not be in danger of saturation, but you're able to take a look at them to see what next year is going to look like and possibly free up resources for other uses. And finally here, we can help you control costs. Our solutions, we've got more than one in this area, going to help you understand your cloud costs down to knowing which vendor can provide the most cost-effective solution. Cloud migrations, you're going to be able to simulate those, export that information out so that your entire unit can align based on those findings. Help you understand how your cloud environment should be configured, both for cost and utilization, because there's different ways to configure based upon those separately. Which vendor is least expensive, and what configuration gets us the performance we need at the least cost. All this cost information is going to be at your fingertips. No spreadsheets are going to be harmed in the aligning of your expenses with business needs and resource requirements. All that work that you've done in spreadsheets in the past, that's gone. Controlling costs means you're going to be able to see the most expensive resources or services and investigate alternatives, alternatives that don't compromise or impact performance. So how are we going to do this? How can Flycast deliver this ability to identify, forecast, or control? Well, today I want to show you BMC's Truesight capacity solution. Now, the primary or first value that this solution brings is a lower total cost of ownership. This comes from these comprehensive views, bringing in those silos, bringing them together. Organizations are often under or over provisioned. Usually, it's over provisioned. We've already talked about some of the reasons for that. The key way to stopping that is a comprehensive view of your environment, regardless of location, regardless of type. So what kind of time would you be able to save if you knew from the click of a button how many additional VMs could be deployed? Which is the best cluster to allocate them to? Which availability zones are close to saturation? These are all things that it takes just a click or two to see, but how long does it take you to do that currently? You export the data from multiple systems, you bring it into Excel. Maybe it's been a year since you did a pivot table, so you got to Google that as well, right? All those time-consuming activities just to find answers from siloed systems that now, with this solution, are available at the click of a mouse. Now, again, I'm showing BMC's Truesight. It's one of our digital service operations solutions. Here we're looking at a capacity pool for Hyper-Vs. And a lot of information right here at our fingertips, which pool and type, what it contains, any tags that might be defined and associated with the elements that we've put in this pool. You're able to see usage, risk, and efficiency metrics that are color-coded. This is key. This is color-coded so that if it needs your attention, it can get your attention. Utilization at the bottom shows both memory and CPU over time. So you're really able to see different perspectives. What's it look like over time? What is it now in a static form? These views really are, of the solution are sort of like a Rubik's Cube view of your data. So you're going to be able to twist and turn it and see it from multiple perspectives, whichever one makes sense to you based on your job role or the question you're trying to answer. Tracking utilization is key. This means that we can actually provide showback reports for the related charges, whether you do showback or chargeback. I come from a chargeback background. And my experience has been that visibility is key to reducing costs. Even if you just do showback, producing that information to show what your portion of my portion of the bill was has a tendency to impact the utilization of those resources. Are you able to do that today with your current solution? How difficult would it be? Is it more than just generating a report? So we're going to talk a minute about applications, but really in the bigger sense, this is really about service delivery. Again, it's specific on an application, but that application really is a service. It's end-to-end delivery of that application. And all of our organizations have got one that's critical, whether it's a customer-facing web portal, or maybe you develop something internally to do order processing. Maybe the system that, well, I know that the system that HR uses to get payroll out is critical to me. Flycast can help you. We're going to help you understand your demand of your environment, the different demand loads that are put on your environment at different times, so that as it changes for a particular application, you can easily align your resources with it. Infrastructure isn't always provisioned with application performance in mind. And having visibility into that infrastructure is key to minimizing performance and availability risk. Having a complete view of an application means understanding, like I was talking earlier, the pipe to the internet, the web front end, the hardware and or VM environment that it all runs on, any network connections that might be utilized internally so that the front end connects to the back end database, the database server farm, the hardware, software the server farm runs on. You get the point? There's a lot there to look at it from end to end. You can avoid service disruptions if you understand that utilization, environment, performance, and how they relate to each other. And more specifically, you can understand how that critical application or that critical service may be impacted. Again, solutions providing color coding, screen cues, so that what needs your attention can get it. In this screen, we're looking at future saturations. Now, I know it's supposed to be future here. We've already gone past. Everything in this screen is already saturated. We can see that here from the red column. CPU usage looks good. Memory is saturated. But also, if I look over here, another element we're looking at the data store utilization is I've got 3 systems here that are either saturated or near saturation. So again, a couple of clicks, you understand completely your vSphere saturation. And this is just one example of what the tool can do. Now I want to look a little deeper at how capacity management actually helps with applications. So once an application is deployed, the infrastructure resources that are needed for it can change. Maybe the demand for that application is increasing, so the demand for resources are increasing, but your organization has, generally speaking, has an increasing demand overall for resources, and so the resources that it has available may be shrinking as well. So application performance can easily become affected when these resources are constrained. So what happens? Well, for example, it's not uncommon to over-provision VMs. It's driven by a need to continue to support application deployments without having budget to acquire new servers. So IT over-provisions the servers or hosts they have, knowing that ahead of time there's a high probability that performance could be affected. We all know that applications need to be properly tuned. Over-provisioned services become slow services over time. It's often a choice of periodic application slowdowns or not deploying an application at all. But if supply and demand are constantly being balanced, if you have a solution that is looking at what is available and what is being utilized, and that's being balanced, you're able to optimize the use of your infrastructure resources in real time. Gaining resources needed to keep an application performance as expected, or maybe even faster. So this automated engine that constantly analyzes supply and demand allows you to optimize the use of your current infrastructure in real time. This is going to lead to increased density of resource utilization, along with, obviously, improved application performance. Real-time automation is always making sure that supply and demand are in balance. But you're able to set policies on how you want automation to be used. You know, it's not like in Terminator, technology run amok. For example, maybe you want to exclude some servers or resources or applications, or maybe your dev team always wants to test an application with a specific configuration, like always 8 gig of memory, and they don't want that changed regardless. You're going to have control over when, where, and how the automation is used through those policies, so that you understand and get the information that you need. So if you think of your end users as end user consumers of IT as they're your customers, whether they're internal or external, they're your customers. Flycast can help you deliver faster time to market. You're able to identify infrastructure requirements before delivery of some service to your customer, whether they're internal or external. You know, marketing has a plan. You'd expect it to increase either visits to your website or brick and mortar. You can see that, understand how that would impact, and what resources are needed to address that. Oftentimes, organizational initiatives can be delayed in time to value because of this lack of visibility. And lack of visibility leads to inaccurate forecasting, especially around IT resources. We can show you, Flycast can, how you can create a what-if scenario that predicts what specific resources are required for a specific scenario. And if requirements change during a discussion phase of the initiative, you can easily modify your scenario so that it adapts to those changing expectations. Now, in this screen capture, we're looking at a system report. This is looking at costs associated with a what-if scenario. If we follow through with this plan, what's it going to do to our costs? And doing this, it breaks it down by the different elements of the scenario and bringing in the accounting information so that we not only know what and how much, but who. The BMC's Truesight solution really has a powerful reporting engine that can provide these type of reports. This is something available out of the box, but these reports also can be modified, and you can create your own if you need to make use of the solution. The what-if scenarios are really key, though. They can be saved and allow you to work on a what-if scenario over time, so that really, if it's a big project, you're able to manage that within the tool and pass that around and let others view what you're doing with that what if scenario. Really, really handy feature. So in the past, over-provisioning wasn't readily visible. But today, moving infrastructure and computing sources to the cloud, what was once a capital expense is now an operating expense, and it's very, very visible. It's that monthly bill that comes in. Well, Flycast can help with that. In this screen here, we're looking at BMC's cloud cost control solution. It's a separate standalone solution. It's a part of the capacity solution, but it's sold by itself as well. It's to help with cloud migrations. You know, if you've got an initiative to move out from your 75% of your on-premise to be split 50-25 between AWS and Azure, they can help you identify the most cost-effective. This tool can help you identify the most cost-effective way to do that. You can see if you're oversubscribed and underutilized, or which vendor is going to provide those resources most effectively. This, like we talked about the other solutions, again, Rubik's Cube view of your data. So here we're looking at it by cloud service, compute, networking, storage, so on. There's really multiple ways that you can see this information. You can see it by tag, by business service that you've defined, by server in the system, multiple ways that you're able to see that data, multiple perspectives of your cloud environment. So again, in this screen, we're looking at a breakdown of cloud costs by service category. The solution offers this and again, other perspectives out of the box so that you've got the visibility that you need to understand your cloud environment, regardless of whether you're looking at it need to understand it from a business service perspective or the server itself, perspective. Currently, it supports on-premise costs, AWS, Azure, and Google. In the near future, we expect to see cost migration scenarios from the cloud back to the data center and additional cloud providers. Also additional utilization of AI and machine learning as well. So I want to talk a minute. I've spent about a half hour now talking about capacity. I want to talk a minute about the Truesight solution in general. Again, this is just one of our digital service operations solutions. Starting here at the bottom, this solution is really agnostic as far as where the resource lies. Is it in your data center, multiple data centers across your environment, private or public cloud? Regardless, we can get to it and help you manage it. So within that, there is a wealth of tools that we can monitor. Now, we have our own monitoring that we can perform for all of these elements, but we also integrate with other tools that perform their own monitoring, and I'll show you that in just a second, some of those tools that we integrate with. But application monitoring, machine logs, network, middleware, databases, all those things we can monitor for capacity. Now, again, we integrate with any other monitors that you might have so that we either monitor it or that system monitors it. And then Truesight can perform any of these four tasks against that. Event management, that's sort of your fireman. Where's the fire? We got to go fix it. What caused the fire is our root cause analysis, and this is who the fire is going to impact. What services are down? What does that mean to our business? Capacity is sort of how many fire trucks do we need to be able to manage the fires. All of this can be monitored through the solution so that the different elements of your service operations can manage what they manage within the tool. These can be linked in with Service Desk, Discovery, and CMDB so that the information is enriched. Service Desk doesn't get tons of notices. They're only alerted when they need to be alerted. That can be based on policy. The system can apply machine learning and analytics to that to help weed out some of that noise so that when you've got a forecasted, in this case, capacity issue, it understands it's a true capacity issue and creates a ticket or whatever your process is for handling that. Automation, this is where the tool can actually go out and perform some remediation for you. Truesight's suite of tools provides a solution for that for both servers and workstations and network infrastructure as well. Over all of this, or surrounding it, is our machine learning and analytics. This is really where it tries to understand what normal is and provide the information, the big data information back to you in a meaningful way to help you do that root cause analysis and service and app impact so you can understand when something happens, how it really is going to impact your organization. So we don't try to be all things to everybody. We understand, like I was saying earlier, some business units within IT will have some tools that they use that they just feel they can't live without, and that's fine. We work with all these tools. We can monitor in these areas, or we can integrate with these tools to bring that monitoring information in for capacity or event, either one. And the list goes on. It's not a small list. Really, it's most of what you will have heard of out there. All right. Bringing it back around to my fog lights. So now, do you see why fog lights for your IT. Do you see how Flycast may be able to help you? We've talked today about how things are and how Flycast can help with the BMC Truesight solution. So we can help you compress and consolidate those siloed processes and views into an enterprise system-wide view. Information can be then presented to users based on their role. That role is going to determine what specific data they can see and then what they can do with it or to it. Those silos that you've got today, we can easily convert those to roles so that each unit within your IT organization can understand their part of the whole. Automate those manual methods. We can help you apply policy templates, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to these what were previously manual processes. This is going to give you that single point of truth that allows organizations to improve data accuracy across the board. Better information is going to mean better decisions. So we can help you stop over-provisioning so that you're aligned for cost. You're able to understand exactly what should be deployed where for the most cost-effective environment. And then never be under-provisioned so that you are aligned for utilization. You can understand how to be deployed so that you have the appropriate level of performance and availability. So fog lights are going to let you see and be seen. Most of today we've talked about seeing, but what about being seen? If your organization doesn't have a capacity management program right now, if you do something like this, if you can do something like this for your organization, your efforts are going to be seen. Your brand is going to increase in value, and Flycast wants to help you do that. Today, we've covered our leading capacity management solution, but I'm really not here to sell you a solution. Flycast is here to help you find the right solution to meet your needs. So give us a call or send us an email. Let's see how we can help with that. So with that, I want to open it up to questions if we had any, Rich.
I have been soliciting questions this entire presentation, and it sounds like there are no questions. However, folks, if you do have a question, we would love to answer it for you. Please reach out to us at 844-359-2278. That's 844-FLYCAST. Or email me directly at rich.longo@flycastpartners.com. We'll get an answer for you right away. You can, once again, chat with us on our website. We have ITS specialists on our website Monday through Friday during normal business hours. I want to thank everyone for attending today's presentation and taking time out of your very busy day. Bobby, thank you. Another great presentation, man.
Thank you, Rich, very much.
All right, and so folks, until our next webinar next Thursday, check out our next webinar topic on organizational change management, a very popular topic for a lot of organizations out there. Organizational change management, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. And until then, enjoy your weekend.